This is the rhythm of being beaten up by a group for Wang Jung. De Fule laughed lightly. Your Highness, do you idolize Wang Jung very much? Yes, Lin Weiyan very openly and quickly admitted. Ai Xiaolu and De Fule knew that Aina and Wang Jung had a relationship. While they have broken up, they seemed to still have lingering feelings. This was most likely also the barrier between Snowli and Wang Jung. As for Lai Xin, Ai Xiaolu was clear now. There was absolutely nothing between the two of them. They were not compatible personality-wise.
Wang Jung would not like such a bold woman. As part of her besties group, actually if Zhang Shan knew, he would definitely think that these two girls were so bloody free. Of course if they had, they were also single and were wasting their worry on others.
Ai Xiaolu now believed that while the royal family had forcefully separated Aina and Wang Jung, in reality, Aina thought otherwise, hence Lin Weiyan was a little spy. If it were another person, she would feel that that person was arrogant, but after Ai Xiaolu got to know Wang Jung and all the things that happened this period of time as well as her experiences on Tita Star, Ai Xiaolu really felt that this was possible. Aslan has so many powerful people, why would you idolize him? This way you will break the hearts of others, Your Highness. Ai Xiaolu laughed. She was reminding Lin Weiyan that she should not be appearing here. Weiyan smiled sweetly. We Aslan have many powerful people but I think that Wang Jung is more attractive.
Lin Weiyan totally ignored the hidden message. It was not clear if she did not understand or she did that on purpose. But looking at Lin Weiyan's naive smile, Ai Xiaolu was so stunned she could not react. It seemed as though if she continued, she would become the evil one. This was an internal competition where they could learn through friendly battles. The people watching were relaxed and the people in the battle could also show off without pressure. Honestly, under such circumstances, it was easier for Zhang Shan and the others to use all their strength. There was an explosion and the Phantom King was thrown out by more than 10 meters. Mid-air, he forced control of the mech and flew in an arch. At the same time he evaded Snowli's one sniping attempt before he steadied himself. The four of you really can make the move, I'm going to give my all now. Haha, Wang Jung, use all your strength, whoever loses has to treat, we want good stuff to eat. Zhang Shan said. After one round of exchanges, their confidence grew. Wang Jung was totally suppressed.
Zhang Shan, that's what you said, Peng, the Phantom King instantly attacked. Takumi's bear heart mech went up against it. This was his duty, to be solid and not break. Takumi, be careful, Wang Jung reminded. Takumi thought that Wang Jung was making a mountain out of a molehill. It was not as if they had not fought before. But very quickly his body instinctively produced an observation to danger. The power of the great earth exploded. A ghostly Phantom King appeared in front of his eyes. He almost could see that flash of laughter in those eyes.
Hong! The rune sword touched and Takumi's face darkened. It was as though an energy bolt pierced through his defense. The Phantom King had already split into two.
Two rune swords attacked at the same time. Takumi's energy shield activated immediately. The rune sword shone brightly.
Hong 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 hong. The two Phantom Kings, suddenly and instantly was like a fast-forwarded scene. In front of his eyes, a series of mirages rained their attacks on the Braveheart mech.
And these happened in an instant. Hong, the energy shield of the bear heart mech broke. Even Zhang Shan could not provide his support in time.
The wind of the 5 minor elements raised speed. At the same time it increased the speed of the Phantom King and its doppelgangers, instantly creating heavy damage on the bear heart mech. And this speed was totally not something a warrior-type mech could block.
After a period of separation, similarly, Wang Jung also needed to be seen differently. Fighting a life-or-death battle with heaven brought about a change and rise in his battle ability. He could comprehensively observe of the battle situation.
Zhang Shan's wind god barely reached and his sword missed. The Phantom King was famous for being phantom-like. Especially under Wang Jung's spiritual power, he could totally make full use of his ability X even as he controlled the Atlantis mech.
Zhang Shan used his third warp. The distance pulled apart this time was really long. Mid-air, the golden wheel arrived and blocked the chase. At this moment, Wang Jung's best choice was to give up Zhang Shan and make a long-distance attack. However, Wang Jung did not do that. Vincent's golden wheel was really well used. His familiarity, accuracy and speed were relatively good, but he forgot one thing. The one in front of his eyes was the ancestor of using the Golden Wheel Battle King. Just by looking at the travel pattern, Wang Jung could predict where the golden wheels would flying at him. There was no waste of control and he easily dodged. This bit of delay was no disruption at all to the Phantom King. Under the situation where there was no cover from the surroundings, it was also very disadvantageous to the Wind God. Its mechanical movement could not be exploited to its full advantages. Except that Zhang Shan was indeed different, his escape speed was totally awesome. Zhang Shan then used a fourth warp. Wang Jung was also speechless. This guy actually raised the number of times he could perform spatial movement. It looked like he had become an escaping king. However, movement was after all only movement. The Phantom King's speed raised again. The speed-up effect of the wind element was already used by Wang Jung very effectively. This was what he learned from his standoff against the heavens. Perhaps the power of an upper-grade C-rank ability X was nothing, but Wang Jung's level of control was already so high that the average Zon-grade student could not even compare to him. Zhang Shan did not even have the chance to be proud, and he already realized that a Phantom King was standing in front of him. Subconsciously he drew his sword.
Target hit. Shit. The red alarm in the mech rang. Woo 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 woo, hong. What Zhang Shan hit was only the doppelganger. The Phantom King's rune sword had already pierced through the Wind God. The originally light-footed ghostly Phantom King, if combined with the speed-up ability of wind, was really undefeatable. The spiritual depletion was very large. The spiritual power had to support the running of the Phantom King's rune system. This was a specialty of the Atlanteans. However, it was a burden for humans. But Wang Jung had no problem at all. Not only that, he still had enough power to activate his ability X. Vincent was not afraid at all. The Golden Wheel Battle King was waiting for this moment and could finally take the gamble. This Vincent indeed has some pride. He still hasn't used his full strength. Ai Xiaolu said softly. Birds of the same feather flocked together. Those who were by Wang Jung's side all had very high potential and their personalities were also worth praising. The Golden Wheel Battle King saw the Phantom King rushing over and actually took the initiative to meet up. To want to use the Golden Wheel Battle King effectively, then one must not be afraid of close-range attacks. Besides, the closer the range, the more vicious the damage power. At the same time, the more dangerous it was. This was the Golden Wheel Battle King. They either beat their opponents into dogs or were beaten by their opponents into dogs. Ability X exploded and instantly the Golden Wheel Battle King's movement became erratic. Not only did its speed become quicker, its rate of attack increased. This type of erratic movement made it hard for people to catch him. Golden Wheel Crazy Explosion. The two golden wheels rushed out and this was totally within the attacking distance of the Golden Wheel Battle King. Zhang Shan and Takumi were also watching. Vincent's level of Golden Wheel Battle King was already equal to that of Wang Jung, it may even be more erratic. Its release of the golden wheels had no pauses and the speed was faster. Why do I feel that Wang Jung is faster? Takumi smiled. Vincent is Manalasuo's youngest pilot. It was only recently that he mastered most of his cultivation technique. At the same time he can use his ability X to his heart's content. It is at this moment that his understanding of mecha can be shown. Not to obsess with ability X but to control ability X. Before this, Vincent wanted to fully understand mech warriors and not be seduced by the strong attacks of ability X. But after maturing, no one could block the power displayed now. There was no way of evading the golden wheels at this distance. It was a dream to think of relying on movement to evade. Even a mirage doppelganger was useless. The high-frequency attacks of the two golden wheels could instantly destroy the doppelganger. It would just be a waste of spiritual energy. The rune sword blocked a series of attacks. Wang Jung himself finally had an experience of the sharpness of a close-ranged battle king. Its terrifying rotational power, unpredictable direction of the wheels, its erratic tracks, and in addition with Vincent's impenetrable attacks. This was the representative of Manalasuo's new generation of pilots. This was a person who dared to sink into the world of mecha. Once he could control his strength, the ability that he showed off was hard to imagine. This was like training in cultivation techniques.
Some people trained for 10 years and were mediocre. It might look impressive but in reality was useless. Even if he trained in 1 year of internal cultivation techniques, that would only be a door decoration. And some people trained 10 years in internal cultivation techniques and only needed 1 year of time to learn the specific fighting techniques belonging to the cultivation technique. Once they showcased their might then, they would become famous. This was most suited to describe Vincent. The impact that Wang Jung gave him was more like fuel. It pushed Vincent to mature earlier and his family was only more willing to develop him. It was either an explosion in silence or to die in silence. Vincent chose the former and continued to hone himself. Facing Wang Jung, there was no other opponent who could rouse his fighting spirit like him. Positioning like the wind, it was a total subconscious attack. His release and usage of the golden wheels came from his heart. Once he reached such a well-rounded level, then he was undefeatable. Crazy exploding golden wheels rained on the Phantom King like raindrops. The rune swords could only passively deflect the attacks. It looked like it would fall. This rain of attacks shocked everyone. The wind element ability in addition to Vincent's solid mecha usage, made the Golden Wheel Battle King into a total undefeatable hellish killing god. Golden Wheel Crazy Dance. The nearer it was the stronger the power. This was the undefeatable Golden Wheel Battle King. Especially under such one-on-one circumstances. Once the Golden Wheel Battle King had entered the rhythm and suppressed its opponent would most likely face a beating. The Phantom King was suppressed, a total suppression. Vincent's wheels totally did not give the Phantom King any chance of escaping the battlefield. And the Phantom King could only exhaust itself defending. There was no energy to retaliate when faced with this kind of strong attacks. However, there was no way of defending against the Golden Wheel Battle King. Energy Doppelganger, was Wang Jung trying to use this to disrupt his rhythm? The result was that when the doppelganger just emerged, it was directly destroyed by the golden wheels. This frequency of attacks, this speed, this accuracy, it was so cool. Perhaps other than Takumi, all the others were shocked by this kid called Vincent. He actually used Wang Jung's most adept mech to beat Wang Jung into this shape. Everyone was also speechless. He had positioning like the wind and attacked like a bolt of lightning. The Phantom King's rune sword was obviously not just purely defending but hoping to break the tracks of the golden wheels. However, you had to admit that Vincent's control was very good. The distance was also quite accurately maintained. The key part was his ability, which allowed the Golden Wheel Battle King to move like the wind. This basically made the Golden Wheel Battle King godly.
Everyone was staring at Wang Jung's Phantom King. Did the Phantom King at this time have any ways to counter? Bam! A smile curled on Wang Jung's face. This type of feeling was really too awesome. Except, this type of standard could no longer suppress him.
The runes of the Phantom King glowed and he formed another doppelganger. The golden wheels attacked soon after, but a change happened. Hong! The two golden wheels were directly hit and they flew off. Vincent, on the contrary, was not too surprised. Wang Jung had finally retaliated. But very quickly, the golden wheels were retrieved and released again. Pung! The two golden wheels were instantly blasted out again and the rune sword met with them once again. The following turn of events made everyone's jaws drop. The two Phantom King moved at the same time and the rune sword instantly hit the rest point of the rotating golden wheels. Winding Words Technique. The two golden wheels were run through in the middle by the rune sword like a kebab and madly struggled about. They let out an unwilling and piercing howl but finally stopped. The two Phantom Kings advanced. The Golden Wheel Battle Kings was left defenseless, zung. The two images combined into one, the Golden Wheel Battle King exploded. Hong! Snowlee's snipe missed. Snowlee was very straightforward. I surrender, I surrender. Her fighting alone with Wang Jung had no meaning.
Wang Jung's this last move made everyone stunned. He was really the strong amongst the strong. Vincent was also shocked. He thought that his usage of the Golden Wheel Battle King was already undefeatable, but he did not expect that Wang Jung could actually stop him. This was a true expert.
At his level, the strongest pilot was not to understand the self but to see through the opponent. This type of high-speed rotating tracks of golden wheels were impossible to catch. Even the original body had to have a certain guidance system. And to use strength to stop it totally. That was simply something only a god could do. Wang Zheng on the other hand was feeling refreshed. His usage of the analysis ability had improved even more. In his fight against Earthgrade Heaven, his analysis ability had a very big effect on his eventual victory. Analysis could make everything return to its original state. In other people's eyes, things that seemed mysterious and unpredictable was forced back to its original state in front of him. Of course, understanding it was one thing, to do it, that would depend on one's foundation. When it came to the usage of the Golden Wheel Battle King, Wang Zheng was the true master. The whole group came out. Their gazes at Wang Zheng was especially passionate. On the opposite, Lin Huiyan was very calm. She had said earlier that he would win. What were they all being so surprised for? Of course the main reason was also because Huiyan did not understand the workings within. How could he receive those golden wheels? Why could he receive it? How did he receive it? Leader, I'm convinced. Vincent laughed. I actually have been training hard behind closed doors for very long and I thought once I was out of training I could create miracles. Didn't expect to lose again, but I'm sincerely convinced. *T, didn't expect that even like this we can't win. Forget it, I'm not going to snatch this team leader position. Haha. Zhongshan said laughingly. Takumi on the other hand did not really care. To be honest, this was not a life or death duel. Everyone might not really have given their all. At least Snowly's sniping was not very accurate. But 4-1, at this point, he really had nothing else to say. Even if word of it spread, no one would believe them. For our leader's victory, should we all celebrate? Snowly said.
Sure, I remember someone said he wanted to treat us. Let's eat something expensive, Ai Xiaolu said happily. Instantly Zhongshan's face darkened. Big sis, can you not spend too much? I only own small businesses. The few girls giggled. Alright, since you called me big sis, then I'll be nicer. This battle also legitimized Wang Zheng's title of team leader. Even if they were friends, they also needed a battle to prove their abilities. At the same time, as the leader, he had to understand his members' abilities. It had to be said that in this battle, he understood about 70–80% of the team. Everyone other than Takumi as Wang Zheng felt that Takumi at most showed off 80% of his full strength. Vincent and the others were all not bad, each had their own tricks. Their styles were also a refreshing change to his. Except that they had to reinforce their strengths during training. To be honest, they were not so vicious on him. On this point, he could see it from Luo Fei. This guy's change most likely came after undergoing some inhuman training to reach that step. After understanding the scariness of the abyss, Wang Zheng also started to plan ahead unless he no longer wanted to be a mech warrior. Everyone crowded around Wang Zheng. A team leader had to have the aura of a leader. Everyone was thinking of names for the battle team. Unbeatable team is good, Zhongshan said. That's so cliché. Get something more creative. Ai Xiaolu was against it immediately. How about Flash Team? Not good, we need something special, something sharper, best to induce fear upon hearing. Wang Zheng thought about it. There was a strange python in Tita Star. It was not very big in size but on Tita Star it was a ruler. Even the Tita giants stayed away from it. This type of snake moved like the wind and attacked like fire. Its poison was deadly. The poison birthed on this type of living planet was also really scary. It totally was not something that a living body could handle. It was called the Saruman snake. Let's call it the Saruman snake team. Wang Zheng said. Saruman snake. Poison snake team. I've heard of this type of snake. Its venom remains steadily in the top 10 of the Milky Way Alliance deadly poison list. It belongs to the category of monsters that living bodies are banned from approaching. Ai Xiaolu said. Ai Xiaolu was a detailed person and had understood relevant information before going to Tita Star. She had to know the unique biology there. Safety was number one to those who wanted to do travel business. This type of snake was something they had to think of separating from the populace. So domineering. I like it. Poisonous snakes or poisonous snakes. On the battlefield we have to be vicious and poisonous. Zhongshan shouted. The others on the other hand did not really care. Everyone just casually picked such a name but this name was fated to be famous throughout the Milky Way Alliance. This was the formation of the initial stages of Team Saruman Snake. A group of youthful active youngsters, all filled with the will and goal to fight. But life would make them walk towards maturity and finally rule everything. The Elite Academy X was just that big, and Wei Yan was in the limelight. This is not logical. Why must the princess follow such a new battle team? We of Aslan are the best battle team. What's the name of their battle team? I heard it's a snake. Anyway, it's some soft, floppy snake. Looks like the name they picked was not imposing. A small character from a small place, of course they have to be low-key. Sigh, if Hakatalan had not lost, the princess would not be like this too. Everyone was a little upset, but then they also could not say it in front of Hakatalan. Hakatalan was after all the strongest in Aslan. But even if he personally was the strongest, it did not mean that his team's ability was the strongest. In the Elite Academy X, not everyone cared about team battles. Like Hakatalan, his individual ability was too strong. He only needed the others to cooperate with him. Occasionally he would take part in these type of team battles and he alone could set the rhythm and suppress the opponents. After all, he was famous for a reason. If Lin Weiyan did not come, then things would perhaps be less conflicted. However, Lin Weiyan's attention on the solar system obviously made the Aslan students jealous. They would not think that Lin Weiyan had done anything wrong but thought that it were they themselves who did not do well enough. The greater responsibility was flung onto Hakatalan. If Hakatalan had won, where would there be all these troublesome matters? The Saruman snake battle team might have just been established, but they received a certain level of attention. At the Elite Academy X, individual ability and team ability were two entirely different things. Actually, the few strongest Zon graders, like Hakatalan, Martsu and the others had initially not taken part in these team battles. After all, they had the chance to break through to the Earth grade and had no need to waste effort on people who were of lower levels. But just like Hukan, after being defeated in one battle, he lost that type of special privileges and team battles seemed unavoidable. Hakatalan, while defeated, had shown off very strong abilities. He continued to hold on to the level of ability to enter the Earth grade. But Hukan had not much hope already. But once strengths like Hukan joined a battle team, then the battle team would be frighteningly strong. Of course, the prerequisite was that he really wanted to be part of the battle team. A team required cooperation within. Everyone for me and me for everyone. This was the first and most important task. The outside world felt that cases like Wang Zheng, who was a powerful person who did not focus on training and on the contrary took part in such unproductive things like the battle team, was the exception. At least he also had the hope to break through the battle power rankings. Wang Zheng and his group was not concerned at all with the comments of the outside world. The battle team was called the Saruman Snake. The glory of the previous semester was already in the past. Wang Zheng had already forgotten about it. There were quite a lot of lessons for the Zon graders new semester and Wang Zheng had chosen a lot of them. He wanted to try his best to understand more. His time outside lessons were used to take part in Saruman Snake's battle team training. Other than the 5 main powers, the battle team also had reserves and support like I Xiaolu, Defule, Ison, Magjul and the others had all joined in too. At least the whole battle team looked more comprehensive.
Entering the second semester, actually the direction everyone was taking had basically surfaced. Except for Wang Zheng, whose choices were wide. He belonged to the sort of students the academy was developing and thus possessed significant freedom and skill to pursue what he wanted. However, most people were starting to learn about team battles. Some were focused on attack power, some were focused on support. Even though attackers could attain glory here, this was only the situation in the academy. In the army, many people who studied supportive skills had better big picture perspectives and on the contrary could advance better. However, regardless if one was a supporter or an attacker, all had the chance to become generals. The Saruman Snake team battle trainings were filled with laughter and cheer. However, these laughter belonged to the supports. Ison, Magjul, Ali and the others happily looked on to the attackers' training. This was the training schedule that Wang Zheng had planned. It was indeed a little too much. Actually, this was the edited version. When Vincent and the others saw the first version of the training plan from Wang Zheng, their faces all darkened. Was this a training plan for humans? There was absolutely no one who could stand it. Wang Jung then realized he was a little too impatient for success. Not everyone could stand his level of training.
Other people pursued power based on regular basics, but Wang Jung from young did not understand what was regular. No matter whether it was old merchant's teachings or the torture from entering the Rubik's Cube, all had made him into an existence who had totally no bottom line to raising his strength. However, other people could not handle it. In the end, he changed into a more gentle training style, but still made everyone complain. Even Vincent and Takumi, who thought that their resistances were strong, also suffered until they could not speak. Snowly could only ground her teeth and braved through. On this aspect, Zhang Shan was the worse. His brains were used for battle, but on the battlefield, it mainly depended on the body. If the body was not strong enough, often, the brain would not have a chance to show off. Wang Jung's training was mainly to let the main members be more familiar with each other and at the same time develop a type of team cooperation. Other than the so-called daily training, there was also the daily duels, and it was of course personally controlled by Wang Jung. The nicely put reason was to duel with everyone. Except, a few days later, everyone suffered under his hands. At first, when they received this shocking news, Zhang Shan felt his world crashing down and his future pitch black. Vincent and Takumi, on the other hand, were still cheery. In the following few days, Wang Jung used various mecha, various angles and various methods to torture them, beating the two of them until they felt like dying.
At this moment, the two of them then truly felt how strong Wang Jung was. Vincent, who just returned, thought that even though he could not beat Wang Jung, they were not that far off, but now he knew that when he was improving, Wang Jung was not just lazing around. Also, Wang Jung was even more hardworking. Actually, from a technique and understanding of mecha standpoint, Vincent had already reached a relatively high level. Wang Jung also could not help much, except in duels where Vincent himself could look for inspiration. In fact, Wang Jung himself was also looking for inspiration. Every member of his team had their own specialty. In the individual components they were very strong, and this was something Wang Jung wanted to learn from. He had enough energy to absorb these things and make himself even stronger. At the same time, he understood the concept of cooperation. While Wang Jung alone had very strong combat ability, he was biased towards team battles. After he had seen war, he very clearly understood that helplessness of an individual in a big battle. But the battle power executed by a group of powerful people sometimes surpassed even a larger troop. During the duels with Wang Jung, the one who reaped the most benefits was Takumi. Jar Jar Mi's potential was really very strong. It was just that his change was still a little lacking. While battling, he sometimes could get some inspiration from Wang Jung. And Wang Jung was similarly interested in the Grand Earth power. This type of power amongst the defensive powers were definitely unique. And you don't say, in his battles with Wang Jung, Takumi really thought of a few very experimental type of powers.
Snowli's talent was relatively good. On the understanding of ice, she was even better than Wang Jung. Except when it came to her skills, she needed to raise it through battles and catch up with the team's rhythm.
As for Zhang Shan, it was another thing altogether. Wang Jung only cared to torture him and ignored everything else. This was because Zhang Shan was a genius ability X user. The more battles he participated in, the more he could strengthen his spiritual strength. Basically, the training that had just began were only to strengthen understanding. Cooperation in an elite team was relatively specific. Wang Jung and his group had watched a few of the past competitions during this period of time. The cooperation between team members were relatively shocking. Aslan's style focused on strategy and even more on an individual's talent show-off. Arbiter, on the other hand, were the typical harsh hot-blooded style. They focused on ironclad rules and fierce advances. There was no deviance on execution. Seeing their type of battle was totally a type of enjoyment. The charm of team battles were of a different style from individuals. Of course, team battles did not exclude personal heroes, except that this difficulty was increased by a lot. Wei Yan's presence, on the other hand, was another factor that raised other people's potential. This was, Wang Jung did it on purpose after he had discovered this point. He then took the initiative to invite Wei Yan to watch. Even Zhang Shan, who was suffering multiple cuts, only complained but did not withdraw from training. Except this situation finally angered the people of Aslan. They could not continue to tolerate. They had to challenge the Saruman snake battle team and use the truth to prove that they were just a very terrible team. The appeal of team battles was much more complicated and beautiful than individual battles. This spoke of concrete details. Only those strong empires had their own styles. As for regions like the solar system, they could not even form a complete team. And the princess actually was spending time with this group of low-level people. The mastermind was definitely Wang Zheng.
Wang Zheng, who was training, kept sneezing. Who was thinking of him so much?
Brother Wang Zheng, you owe me a big one, Wei Yan said laughingly. The cute little princess was very smart. She could see that Wang Zheng was using her to boost morale. Wang Zheng laughed. I know. Next time there's something fun, I'll bring you along.
That's not enough. Actually, you owe me twice. The Aslan alumni is already making a huge ruckus. It should not take long before they challenge the Saruman snake battle team. I think this is also within your expectations.
The little princess's bright eyes shone with intelligence. She did not believe that Wang Zheng would not have thought of it. Don't look at Wang Zheng's simple look. He was actually very smart.
Wang Zheng shrugged and did not deny. This is just an extra effect. Actually, both parties are also training their teams. Actual battles are the best way to raise one's strength. I owe you one. You, this girl, when did you get so petty? As he said this, he patted Wei Yan's head. Wei Yan blatantly turned her head. Don't touch me like that. I'm not a kid anymore. You cannot see me as a kid. Wang Zheng was amused. Okay, our Princess Wei Yan is a big beauty. Are you satisfied now? HMPH, this is okay. In the future, you have to praise me every day or else I'll be upset. Yes. Wang Zheng felt helpless. Kids were like this, they always had some weird request. Brother Wang Zheng, I don't really understand. Actually, based on your ability, why must you do team battles? You should be training and entering the Earth grade. Isn't that better? Wei Yan asked curiously. Once he entered the Earth grade, then his position would very obviously be different. Wang Zheng definitely had this ability. Subconsciously, Wei Yan was still thinking if Wang Zheng entered the Earth grade, would the royal family change their views on him? Of course, she could not say this out loud. I definitely have to enter the Earth grade, except that what I want to study is not just individual battle. Actually, in the army, the most important thing is teamwork. This is actually the strongest. And through team battles, I can learn a lot of things myself and increase my own personal battle accomplishments. Wang Zheng said. The Wei Yan at the side listened until her eyes sparkled. This was true strength. Not like Aslan, who was always so overly confident. Once they were a little stronger, they did not see others. And Wang Zheng, the stronger he was, the more he wanted to learn. This was true strength. The little princess liked this type. She was not a fool and purposely wanted to provoke Aslan. They should not relax just because of the achievements they had now. The Aslan Empire had to be stronger. Perhaps Wang Zheng could teach them a very good lesson. There were no true fools or naivety in the Aslan Empire. Of course, this whole thing was still mainly to help Wang Zheng. Wei Yan just wanted to give herself a reason. Takumi was thinking about the idea Wang Zheng had given him. To be honest, he who had the power of the Great Earth had not even thought of that. But after hearing Wang Zheng's description, and with his understanding of himself, it was most likely really achievable. Once he thought of the double function of attacking and defending, he shivered with excitement. Takumi was actually not an entirely defensive type warrior. Within his defense also had very strong offensive attributes, but they were not attacks. All along, Takumi had headaches over the matter on how to find balance in between. However, Wang Zheng on the other hand opened a new world for him. He did not need to use heavy armor. To be honest, heavy armor mecha were mostly prepared for normal warriors. It was a little suppressive for Ability X users to use heavy armor. Hence Takumi indeed chose the warrior type mech and could choose those warrior mecha that were more defense-based. This combined with his Ability X could reach a very good defensive effect, and the overall teamwork effect could be even better. At the same time, Takumi's suppressed attack power could also be showed off. To be honest, this type of thinking was not mainstream, but Takumi was really tempted. Team battles required cooperation and team spirit to reach the stacked effect of 1 plus 1 equals to more than 2. A cooperative small team battling was totally an art and could beat the most powerful people until they could not retaliate at all. To be honest, that difficulty was equally high. At the Elite Academy X, two types of people were the most glorious. One was the type with hopes to enter the Earth grade and the other was the type who entered the Earth grade through team battle strength. When assigned to the individual, he might not have the Earth grade battle strength but that could be reached through team battle. This was similarly a type of level. This way, the team would not disband and their futures were bright too. And as the leader, his rise would be faster than other Earth grade individuals because this not only required individual ability but more importantly, intelligence and talent. After all, in this world, most people were ordinary. A person who could show off the abilities of people around him were the truly strong ones. It was also the ability that the Milky Way Alliance valued the most. Of course, no matter which route was chosen, only those who reached the top were truly victorious. Wang Zheng on the other hand did not think too much. He was originally interested in many things. Battle was a type of pursuit. An individual battle had the fun aspects of an individual battle. A team battle had the hot blood and passion of a team battle. And he liked to grow together with his brothers. A single-person world was equal to not existing. Without waiting for training to end, the challenge from the Aslan alumni came as expected. At the moment, Aslan had 5 trump card battle teams and were also famous in the Elite Academy. Many did not take part in the previous Elites competition. Not everyone was interested in this type of fame. Some people loved to be high profile and some loved to be low-key. This was the same concept. And there were some who totally looked down on this type of individual battles which had no meaning at all on the battleground. An individual's bravery was good but if he did not know how to cooperate, he would on the other hand drag down the entire team. Because your enemies were unpredictable and could even be very very strong. A person who reveres fighting strength too much would be very rash. Speaking of it and it really did arrive. Weiyan, which team do you think I should choose to be our first opponent? The Weiyan now was like the administrator of the Saruman snake battle team. All things big or small had to go past her. This made Ai Xiaolu very unhappy because this had totally snatched away the initiative from her. However, the problem was when Ai Xiaolu advised Weiyan to care more about Aslan's matters, Weiyan immediately advised Ai Xiaolu to care more about the Hail Cloud Alliance's matters. This tactic of using the opponent's words on the opponent was used brilliantly. If it were other people, Ai Xiaolu would definitely not let the matter rest, even if she faced Aina. However, seeing Weiyan's pure cute big eyes, Ai Xiaolu also lost the courage. There was no way to fight with this type of people. The reason Ai Xiaolu did not want Weiyan to be busy here was because she did not want her appearance to remind Wang Zheng of Aina and create obstacles for Snow Li. Their coming over had also raised a commotion at the Hail Cloud Alliance. The prettiest girls of their own alumni had all ran away and went to an unknown new battle team. There were absolutely no battle techniques to study. How could the guys of the Hail Cloud Alliance endure all this? However, the guys of the Hail Cloud Alliance all took the silent gentleman style and did not create too much ruckus. Reddington was also more docile. After tearing faces with Ai Xiaolu and the others, he had been low-key. Without waiting for Wang Zheng and his group's decision, Aslan had already decided the team. Obviously they could not wait. They did not want the outside world to see them as a joke. Blue Shield Battle Team, one of the 5 big battle teams of the Aslan alumni. They were also famous in the Elite Academy and took the initiative to challenge the Saruman Snake Battle Team. They already could not wait to bring the pretty cute princess away from that dirty small broken team. Saruman Snake, how could such a disgusting name match the elegant princess? This name had no meaning and was about an animal. Successful battle teams were usually from large countries. The type of battle technique, systems and combination of people were totally not something a few random soldiers could handle and excel in. At the moment, all the excellent battle teams were basically people from the same country. Sometimes they would have external help but these were also with very good relationships, and even consisted of those who wanted to migrate. There were also some like the Saruman Snake Battle team formed from various countries, but they were all bottom ranking and disbanded before graduation. And looking at the situation of these members, Wang Zheng's individual ability was indeed strong, but could he be a leader? Even Hakatalan was not in the top 5 in this category of leadership. Zhang Shan, all he could do was run, he did not have much use. His mecha control was not up to standard. He had a little street smarts, but once one saw through it, he would have nowhere to show off. Vincent, Manalasuo's newbie, from Huang Class 1. Takumi, this person was quite strong. A heavy armor talent from the Big Bear Star. However, heavy armor mecha was only for defense. They had not heard that a shield could kill someone. The remaining member was Snow Lee. You had to admit that when Snow Lee just entered the college, high hopes were placed on her. After all, the Hail Cloud Alliance was also a super strong country and at the same time was very high profile. What genius born of the year of the Dancing Ice Dragon, but now, she was nothing much. She was also only prettier and definitely above average. But on the battlefield, people would not go easy just because you looked pretty. The core of a team, 5 people, coming from 4 places. This was so loose. And they totally were not well matched. Culture, growth, lifestyles were all different. How could a team like that cooperate well? This was totally a comedy. Wang Zheng was like that. Lear was the same. Similarly, he faced a lot of questioning. However, different from Wang Zheng was that the members Lear looked for were all strong famous people, powerful people from Zon Class 1, especially including Hu Kan. Just based on that, others did not dare to belittle him. As for whether Lear could incorporate Hu Kan into the team, that was Lear's business. The other newbie king, Olivius, also formed a battle team after Wang Zheng had formed the Saruman Snake Battle team. All his members were powerful people from Arbiter. Other than Martsu not being part of the team, Olivius could find anyone he wanted from Arbiter. It was called the Asura Battle Team. It matched Olivo's style, the strong killing aura, the disregard for anything else. While he was always in new battles, but he had already gained some side glances. Arbiter's team battle ability was definitely in the top 3 of the Milky Way Alliance. This country's soldiers had strong individual abilities. With strict rules, they were even scarier in team battles. They were not afraid of death and their coordination was shocking. Ruling such a team based on Olivio's ability, it was most likely to surpass normality. Of course, there were also people who were not convinced. An individual's strength did not mean that the team he led would be strong. In the IG, team battles were also a relatively important aspect. Except, the level of IG totally could not compare to the Elite Academy. And in reality, Olivius also did not exhibit any team commandeering abilities. This person practically killed everyone by himself. Brother Wang Zheng, how is it? Since they are here, of course we get to battle. But they said it 1 week later. I want to make some preparations, if not it's not fun even if we fight. Wang Zheng laughed. The result was not the most important. What he really wanted was to develop cooperation. Aslan's side naturally would not have any opinions. Originally they thought that based on the Aslan citizens' pride, they would definitely not have any interest in the Saruman snake. But now, they wanted to eliminate this new team totally to get rid of Princess Weiyan's ideas. As for that bit of time, it was meaningless. Any team without training together for a few months would not have much effect. This was different in nature from an individual's ability. With such a goal, everyone put in even more effort during training. Once school reopened, everyone's lives were rather fulfilling. Wang Zheng on the other hand took it step by step. The Wang Zheng now had already experienced big crises. He would not think much just because of Aslan's challenge. The others were very excited, especially Takumi and Vincent. This was the best chance to prove their ability and presence. They also put in extra effort during training. As expected, this time's challenge, no matter Wang Zheng or the Aslan battle team, was both the topics of conversation in Academy. And it seemed that some sort of grievance existed between Wang Zheng and Aslan. Hakatalan's undefeatable title was destroyed in Wang Zheng's hands, and once he heard that Aslan's Blue Shield battle team was challenging Wang Zheng's new battle team, he was instantly interested. Lear also received the news. His battle team was now functioning very well. Lear looked for powerful people everywhere. On this, he was the same as Wang Zheng. He founded a multinational team. Other than Hu Kan, Lear also recruited two powerful people from the Mayan Empire. This was very unexpected. Atlantis and Mayan students were especially low-key after arriving at the elite academy. But these two Mayan students actually joined Lear. This also made people's jaws drop.
Senior Hu Kan, this Wang Zheng is so proud, Lear said helplessly. Hu Kan rolled his eyes. I still thought that Earthlings are all like you, so modest and loyal. To know that there actually exist such people. Actually, that is also normal. He is the leader of the solar system IG team and liked to order us around. Hence the solar system's current fragmentation. This is also not some secret. Actually, our solar system originally already had so few people. We are a small federation. At this time we have to be more united, except, as long as Wang Zheng exists, everyone will not dare to be united. Lear said as he smiled bitterly, this rascal really thinks that he is undefeatable. Senior Hu Kan, Wang Zheng may be obnoxious, but he has quite the talent in using mecha. If not, he could not attract Princess Weiyan. Even Princess Weiyan thinks highly of him. He is now even more proud. Isn't that? Even the people of Aslan cannot stand it. A pity, they still don't understand.
Even if they defeat Wang Zheng's battle team, that is useless. He has a 100 reasons to explain why. The school really has no rules. They don't know how to respect seniors at all. Lear said, Senior, here, cheers to you again. Thank you for looking up to me. I feel so unsettled sitting in the team leader's position. I'm really ashamed. If there are any lacking areas, Senior, please do criticize and advise. Lear will be very grateful.
You brat, being modest again. It's our fate to be friends. Your matters are my matters. Come, let's drink.
Hu Kan patted Lear's shoulders. Recently, the friendship between the two had deepened greatly. Lear's heartfelt sincerity and reverence for him deeply moved and struck a chord in Hu Kan's heart. He had to take care of a junior like Lear. Lear had researched the special characteristics of people from various planets, of which included martial deity star. To be honest, this was a star that valued their faces too much. Hu Kan was a typical representative. Previously, when he was part of the four most powerful people, naturally he did not lack respect. However, it was different now. He was already defeated and worse, he lost to a Huang grade student. While his ability was still there, but very obviously, there were changes in the academy's teachers and students. It was especially obvious on him, but the martial deity star citizens were the type of people who would not express and reveal their emotions. He obviously wanted face yet acted as though nothing bothered him.
And once this type of thing was captured by Lear, he matched his interests and very quickly recruited him.
Lear gave him such face. Hu Kan naturally took Lear to be a good friend and a good brother. If his good brother was in trouble, he naturally had to help him out.
This Wang Zheng needed some education. If not, he really did not know how high the sky was and how deep the ground was. And Hu Kan was also a relatively direct person. When he found Wang Zheng was undergoing daily training with his team. Hu Kan directly pushed the door open to enter. Ask Wang Zheng to come out. Ai Xiaolu frowned. Hu Kan, what happened? Why are you in such a hurry? Move aside, it's none of your business. Ask Wang Zheng to come out. Hu Kan, you better be more polite. If there's something, say it. State your intentions clearly first. Ai Xiaolu said coldly. Seeing how the other party kicked the door open, she was already angry. Ms. Ai was not to be bullied. Polite, I'm already polite enough to not directly beat him, Hu Kan growled. In the past, when he spoke, who dared to go against him? Now, any unknown fella also dared to ask him to be polite. Wang Zheng and the others were researching some past classic team battle videos. It was quite necessary to learn the strategies and details of other people. They could not fight without understanding their opponent, especially in this battle with Aslan. They could be confident, but not overconfident. Then they heard an argument from the outside. When Wang Zheng went out, he was also stunned. Ai Xiaolu's face was white, she seemed to have suffered a blow. Women, step aside, if you continue to nag, I'll kill you, Hu Kan said.
Ai Xiaolu was so angry. She did not expect Hu Kan to act as he said and unexpectedly suffered a blow. Her blood was boiling.
Hu Kan took a look at Wang Zheng and curled his finger. You, come here, I've something to say. Wang Zheng's lips curled into a slight smile and walked towards Hu Kan. Suddenly he leapt and directly kicked towards Hu Kan. Peng, Hong, in general, Wang Zheng was still quite gentlemanly. Fights between classmates were nothing big. But this type, who had even hit women, not to say that you were a senior, even if the senior's ancestor came, it would be useless. A grunt was heard and Wang Zheng bounced back lightly. Hu Kan also retreated 2 steps. Wang Zheng smiled. I'm Wang Zheng. Hu Kan, you came here looking for me so rudely, are you looking to be beaten or asking to be beaten up? After all, he was someone who had done a life or death battle with Earth-grade experts. Actually he would not get angry easily like a child, but this Hu Kan was really a little dumb. Wang Zheng also did not intend to be polite. The others also came out. After all, this was a senior in the academy, and Hu Kan was not like this in the past. Takumi quickly stood out. Senior Hu Kan, what happened, is there some sort of misunderstanding? Hu Kan looked lightly at Takumi. What misunderstanding? I just don't like him and want to have a duel. Wang Zheng, you wouldn't be a cowardly tortoise, would you? Everyone looked at Wang Zheng. Perhaps there were some grievances between the two. Hu Kan's tone was obviously angry. To be honest, Wang Zheng in his bones was a person who loved battles. But battles had different types. Even that type of life or death battle with heaven was filled with excitement and yearning. However, battles like this with Hu Kan were the most boring. Waving his fingers, he said, you are not my opponent, what's there to battle? Wang Zheng was outright insulting him. Takumi was also a little awkward. He knew that Wang Zheng was telling the truth but this was too direct. It was a pity he did not see the scene where Hu Kan attacked Ai Xiaolu. Besides, fighting someone who attacks girls without reason, I'm even more afraid of dirtying my hands. Wang Zheng was also not going to be polite. If it were the battlefield, gender did not matter. They were all classmates of the same academy. This Hu Kan was also quite an idiot. Hu Kan was also seething with anger. After he failed, whatever he did not go well. His character also changed. In addition to Lear's imperceptible influences and provocations, he was already impatient. If you don't want to fight, that's fine. Disband your rubbish battle team and withdraw from school voluntarily, Hu Kan said. Wang Zheng was amused. No wonder this Hu Kan was the weakest of the 4 experts. A person who could not even stand a little failure would indeed only fall all the way. Looks like if I don't accept your challenge, you will not let this go? That's right, I'm here today precisely to fight you. State your conditions, if not others would say I'm bullying you, Hu Kan said in a deep voice.
A horse doesn't know that it has a long face. Who the FK do you think you are? Wang Zheng now is one of the top 5 experts. Don't act all high and mighty. Zhang Shan was also angry. Were we earthlings so easy to bully? Wang Zheng, beat him up.
Piece of shit. I've seen all sorts of people but not this type who is so free that they come looking for a beating.
Wang Zheng laughed. Fine, we can fight. If you win, I'll do as you say whether it is withdrawing from the academy or disbanding the team. But if you lose, I'm also not going to make things difficult for you. You just have to do one thing.
Hu Kan's goal was to force Wang Zheng to make a move. Actually in his heart, he had other purposes. That was to defeat Wang Zheng. This way he could regain the glory he had in the past. The opponents he could choose were not many. He could not fight Lear. He also could not fight Olivius. After all, arbiters were not that good to offend. There was no need to fight Tempest. Thinking here and there was only Wang Zheng left.
An earthling, even if he beat him up, there would not be any repercussions.
Whatever, as long as you can defeat me, I Hu Kan, will do as I promised, Hu Kan said. Wang Zheng smiled. Everyone saw it. Okay, mecha or any. Don't use all these fancy stuff, we will battle directly, Hu Kan said. He did not intend to have a mecha battle. Very obviously, Wang Zheng's mecha battle ability was already quite famous in the academy. He was definitely one of the strongest and it was not advantageous for heavy armor mecha to have a one-on-one duel. Even if they were of the same grade, The one attacking would always be stronger than the one defending. But if it were a physical battle, then that would be another matter. Hukan was quite confident in his physique. FK, he really takes every advantage. Zhang Shan pouted. I said it, how did you get so courageous? Ai Xiaolu waved her fists. Wang Zheng defeat him, I will give you whatever you want.
Wang Zheng started sweating. Senior, don't scare me like that. I'll lose.
TCH, am I a tiger? Takumi and the others looked at each other but all had no other way. They could not control anything. They really did not know what provoked Hukan. Not to mention physical fighting ability, just based on the state of mind, Hukan was already on the losing end. Wang Zheng was calm and Hukan was already a little too anxious for success.
The training grounds were already there. Hukan threw his jacket aside, exposing solid muscles. It was not the type that was just for show. These were really muscles that were like steel.
This body, this physique, it was indeed something that could only be achieved with hard work. This was also to do with the martial deity star's environment. It was a little stronger and fiercer than Big Bear Star. Lear was waiting for news. Everything was within his calculations. Boss, this Hukan is unlikely to be Wang Zheng's match. If he loses, I'm afraid there would be problems, Luo Fei said. Lear smiled slightly. I did not say that he has to win. This person is still quite influential in the Black Tortoise region. The team seems to treat him more like the leader, so I need him to be more humble. Luo Fei's eyes brightened. Boss, you are smart. If he loses one more time, most likely he will become truly honest. At that time, he will listen to orders. Luo Fei also knew, even though he was only the assistant team leader, Hukan was actually a little too full of himself in the battle team. He did not know at all how to respect Lear. Even more, he treated Lear like a small brother. This did not help to build Lear's authority. But Lear's situation did not allow him to use Hukan to establish his authority. So, he could only use another way. Lear laughed. Well, in case Wang Zheng is too bored, we give him something to do. At the same time, he will help me to solve this difficult problem. 2 results with 1 move. Luo Fei at a side quickly handed in his praises. Boss was great and smart, knowing how to win without making a move. Because Lear had from the start felt unhappy, especially after getting beaten by Li Jilong. This Hukan was not weak, especially in his physical fighting abilities. Even if Wang Zheng wanted to win, it would not be easy. In case he accidentally lost, or suffered some injury, Lear would be very happy. He did not know why, but he would be happy. The other people were outside. Hukan took one look at Wang Zheng and instantly, with a leap he kicked towards him. He was very big in size but his movements were swift and fierce. This aura was indeed the same as a fierce tiger coming out of the mountain, like he wanted to tear Wang Zheng apart. Hong, the 2 people met. Wang Zheng blocked with his body. Hukan did not even turn back his head and suddenly rotated and swung out his arm, with a force akin to sweeping through 1,000 soldiers. Hong, Wang Zheng was hit and was again pushed away by 3 steps. Hukan jumped up like a fierce beast and directly punched towards Wang Zheng's head. If this hit, Wang Zheng could be hospitalized. Hong, Hukan was kicked away. He retreated unsteadily. Wang Zheng dealt a blow, a 180 degrees kick and directly kicked Hukan away again. He slowly withdrew his right leg and drew an arc in the air. Wang Zheng smiled. Hukan, do you know why Lear encouraged you to look for me? It's none of other people's business. I just want to educate you. Haha, is that so? Then I want to see how you are going to educate me. As he finished his statement, Wang Zheng rushed towards Hukan with swift steps. It was as though Hukan's suppressive aura had absolutely no influence on his rhythm. Hukan's ability X exploded, impressive Grand Earth's power. This was the true strength. At least Takumi, who had the same attribute, could feel that this power made people feel short of breath. Using ability X in this type of physical battle was much more dangerous than in mecha. After all, the body was not steel and Hukan was a B-rank ability X user. He also did not withhold himself. This was not the rhythm of a friendly duel. But Wang Zheng on the other hand easily evaded his opponent's attack. The wind attribute ability X was used very naturally. This was a difference in grade suppression. The strength of the ability X of an Earth-grade expert might not be that high, but when it came to usage and control of exertion, they were way beyond their opponents. Usually, Hu Kan's domineering strength could control the rhythm and completely suppress his opponent, but Wang Zheng did not care at all and easily evaded the attacks continuously. Turning, he kicked Hu Kan again and made him trip. Hu Kan roared and rushed over. This type of attack was like a tickle. It would not create any damage at all. But after his fierce attacks missed continuously, Wang Zheng was like playing with crickets. He teased Hu Kan continuously. Hu Kan's strength continuously exploded and he obviously had the power to crush his opponent, but he missed every time and was still kicked here and there by Wang Zheng.
Zhang Shan and the others were watching for fun at first, but soon they realized that it was not just that. Wang Zheng was demonstrating to them how to control the rhythm in battles. You must not follow the route set by the opponent but use ways to bring the opponent into your own rhythm. There would always be a way, even for opponents like Hu Kan.
The Earth Element Ability X and Wind Element Ability X did not clash. Both parties would want to gain the upper hand. The Wind Element Ability X did not suppress the other party, but Hu Kan was unhappy. His advantageous power actually could not hit Wang Zheng and was still continuously retaliated against. But he believed that Wang Zheng could not possibly keep jumping here and there and would have a moment where he missed a step. Once he did, he would kill him. As expected, after a few rounds of fierce battle, Wang Zheng's one evasion was suddenly slower by a beat. Hu Kan's eyes flashed and directly threw a power-packed punch towards Wang Zheng. There was nothing fancy, this was the most effective, most direct attack. He believed that this punch could at least break a few of Wang Zheng's bones.
But with this seemingly weakness, Wang Zheng suddenly moved and was suddenly beyond his attacking range. He was still smiling and even turned back to look at Zhang Shan and the others who were outside. Especially Takumi, even a heavy armor warrior needed some brains. If not, he would die very quickly on the battlefield.
Hu Kan could not hold back a roar. Wang Zheng, are you a man? I dare you to fight me head on. Wang Zheng laughed. Hu Kan, you are so childish. How did you enter the elite academy? Hu Kan was already at the verge of exploding, but he suddenly took a deep breath and actually forced his anger back. This on the other hand was beyond Wang Zheng's expectation. He finally did have some reasoning left. The Hu Kan who calmed down slowly expanded his aura and took note of Wang Zheng's movements. There would never be eternal evasion.
Wang Zheng laughed and made a confrontational posture. This time it was no longer the power of wind. The primordial regression technique was activated. It was not that Wang Zheng was unwilling to combat, but he could not waste teaching materials that appeared by itself.
Hu Kan took a deep breath and stepped out. The ground exploded and his body pulled out like an arrow. He locked onto Wang Zheng and his aura attempted to suppress Wang Zheng. Even if Wang Zheng wanted to evade, he would be blocked. He was ready to attack and not anxious to punch.
But this time, Wang Zheng had no intention of hiding. Hu Kan's whole attacking route was getting slower and slower in Wang Zheng's view. He could see it very clearly, including the flow of air. Was this the Earth grade? Wang Zheng was not sure, but this type of feeling was really amazing. Hong. This was a head-on clash without anything fancy. There actually was an energy wave spreading. The training grounds seemed to have shaken a little. Quang dang. Hu Kan flew out and crushed a table as he landed. He still rolled a few more rounds. Wang Zheng was also speechless. Physical techniques was his most adept subject and he actually wanted a physical fight with him. He was really speechless. Hu Kan was struggling and wanted to get up. His whole body was sore and painful. He could not lift up his arm at all. Wang Zheng walked over and laughed. Hu Kan, do you stand by your words? Hu Kan ground his teeth and struggled to stand. However, he could not stand no matter what. Wang Zheng's move was quite vicious. The power of primordial regression technique had been totally exerted. It looked like one attack, but it was enough to disintegrate his opponent. There was no way of withstanding this type of hidden strength without a cultivation technique. Hu Kan gave up dejectedly. You say it. Wang Zheng waved his hands. Hee, winning and losing are all common matters of soldiers. Besides, we are classmates. If you withdraw from school just because you lose, then the school can shut down. You only need to do one thing. In a while, go over to Lear. Remember, it must be when there are many people. To do what? Face your butt towards him and shout loudly 10 times, Lear is an idiot. Wang Jung smiled brightly. Zhongshan had already walked over from the side. Hu Kan, if you don't keep to your end of the deal, I guarantee that the whole academy will know that you are not a man. Zhongshan grinned lasciviously. Compared to becoming a joke of the whole academy, Hu Kan did not have much choice. To Hu Kan, actually this choice was easy to make. If it were someone who was proud, or with some brains, they would not do such a thing. Besides, Hu Kan had his own reasons. He was looking for a reason for himself. The whole thing was orchestrated by Lear. He even hinted that Wang Jung's physical techniques were lacking. In the end, this D***MN Lear, in an instant, this smiling tiger's schemes, and his fake act were all exposed. Lear had already gathered the team members. Many were students from the Black Tortoise region. He wanted to use the battle team as the core and at the same time, discover unique talents. Even if it were support abilities, these were all crucial. If he wanted to achieve big things, then he need not do everything personally, but know how to use people effectively. At this moment, Hu Kan walked in. A smile appeared on Lear's face. He had already prepared early on what to say. On the one hand was to let Hu Kan lose all his aura in front of people, and on the other was to rouse anger for a common enemy. Just as Lear was prepared to present his own speech, Hu Kan suddenly faced his butt towards him. Closely followed was something that made everyone shocked, because Hu Kan took off his pants. Lear is an idiot, Lear is an idiot, Lear is an idiot. A loud clear voice like a bell sounded through the whole training grounds. Lear's face was as black as soil. The little kids watching were all very shocked too. How could he tolerate this? Now something had happened. The Lear who usually could hold back was finally reckless. He beat Hu Kan up badly. The situation at that moment was like this. Hu Kan had used his butt to shock everyone there. Actually, Hu Kan was also very innocent. He was educated by Wang Jung, and then Zhongshan pointed out the crucial points. Zhongshan did not care at all whether Hu Kan believed or not, he just spoke. And in reality, Hu Kan really thought about it. There was nothing good for him from the start. Thinking back on how Lear was always nagging beside his ears, based on Lear's ability, why did he not fight personally? Instead, he lured him to be the collateral damage. He lost his face. Wouldn't Lear now become even more honored in the Black Tortoise region? In addition, many in the battle team was still leaning towards him. After all, Hu Kan's period of fame was still longer, and Lear's championship was not really determinative. The fifth battle group had none of the four top experts. However, if Hu Kan lost again, then no one would treat him as something anymore. Lear was not a person who got angry easily. But even he had no prior mental preparations that he would be ridiculed by a pawn. However, before he attacked, Lear still prepared a trap. He angered Hu Kan, and Hu Kan made the first move. Once Hu Kan made a move, Lear's attack was even more vicious. Originally, Hu Kan was already injured. Faced with Lear's full power attack, he was immediately beaten up with grave injuries. The problem was on the surface. Lear acted as though he was very relaxed and did not use his full strength. After all, if he did nothing after being ridiculed like this by Hu Kan, then he need not be the leader anymore. But this matter still had a negative impact. Lear was given a demerit by the academy. Duels in the academy were common, there were even sneak attacks. But all this could not be discussed on the surface. On the surface, you still had to abide by the academy's rules. On this, Lear was very clear. Hence he actually wanted to play dirty and tricked Hu Kan into looking for Wang Jung. However, he did not succeed and was retaliated against. Lear had to use his full strength as well. On one hand, Hu Kan had already lost his value as a pawn, and on the other, this person could not stay. Rather than leaving a potential problem, he might as well solve it all at once. Luckily, he was forced to return the blows. It was like excessive defense. In the end, the school only punished him a little. Of course, there were also some benefits. At least in the elite academy, strong people were more respected. At least in the team, Lear's words now carried more weight. As for the matter with Li Zhilong, closely followed by Hu Kan's issue, the school recently was privately restricting any form of battles or beating. The student council was carrying out a comprehensive monitoring. This was something Wang Jung did not expect. This caused his battle with Aslan's Blue Shield battle team to be cancelled. The school was banning these during this period of time. Before the ban was lifted, no one could violate it. Once the student council caught anyone having private battles, then severe punishments would be carried out. It did not bother Wang Jung and the others. It was just that they had an extended period of training. This helped with building teamwork as well. Except, on Aslan's end, there were sighs of pity. They could only hold it back and wait for the chance to arrive. 1 month's time passed very quickly. It was fairly uneventful. Hu Kan's matters were not a big matter. Except that it was linked to Li Zhilong, hence the elite academy also could not just forget about the matter. Everyone on the other hand all quietened down. They threw away their arrogance and pride, and started to really learn. Actually, as long as you set your mind, then there were too many things to learn. One should not think that just having 2 good moves and a bit of ability X and would lead to one becoming very strong. Actually, that was all rubbish. There were too many things affecting victories in wars. An individual's ability was only a minor portion. And Wang Jung was indeed a person who could set his heart. When everyone were having lessons and training, researching battle techniques, becoming very regulated, the battle team members also slowly became more familiar with each other. They had formed an initial stage of cooperation. Wei Yan also did not tag along with Wang Jung every day. After all, she was here not for holidays. As an Aslan princess, she also could not embarrass her country. She was very serious when studying. It had to be said that this point changed Wang Jung's view of her. He always thought that Wei Yan's world only consisted of music and playing. He did not expect that when she was serious, she was quite like a princess. Perhaps it was because of the Li Zhilong's matter, there was a new round of trials started by the academy. The trial this time was not within the academy but distributed into various stars. Of which, included the Titatitan Star, the Hail Cloud Alliance and others. Basically, all the destinations were special stars, meaning stars which had an affinity to a minor element. Tita Star was known for the wood element and the Hail Cloud Alliance's origin planet was that of ice element and so on. Students could apply and the school would at the same time make their choice. Mainly, it was based on the individual's elemental specialty. However, like those people who were originally from the Hail Cloud Alliance, they could choose whether or not to go. Because this type of stars would have an especially obvious effect on people visiting for the first time. Wang Jung chose to go to the Hail Cloud Alliance. He need not go to Tita Star anymore. He wanted to strengthen his ice ability badly. This was also the ability that he understood the earliest and he wanted to take a look at the homeland of Old Zhou. As for Vincent, he suggested that he ought to go to Tita Star. When he reached Tita Star, Vincent's would definitely receive a huge boost. Of all the abilities, Wang Jung had always had strong hopes for the growth of the ice attribute. Whenever he trained his ice element ability X, Wang Jung would put in more spiritual energy but the effect was not great. You could only say that he improved steadily, step by step. The amount of effort and spiritual energy put in was much more than the results. Now, his chance was here. His wind attribute's explosion in skill was because he seemed to have some inspiration from Tita Star's special environment. Wang Jung was still very much looking forward to the trial in Hail Cloud Alliance, hoping it would bring about a rise in levels and opportunity for breakthrough. That was also the purpose of the Elite Academy X organizing this trial. The academy had very high efficiency. After 3 days, groups of students were sent by spaceships to their special training points. You had to say, the Elite Academy was really rich and dared to spend developing elite of the Milky Way Alliance. This time, for the Hail Cloud Alliance mission, Wang Jung thought that he would be alone but on the spaceship to the Hail Cloud Alliance, he saw 2 people who should not be here. What are you guys doing here? Wang Jung was stunned as he looked at the 2 beauties sitting across him. Snow Li and I Xiaolu. The trial, Snow Li said seriously, I think I still need to raise my ability. I Xiaolu winked. Because of someone, I did not play enough at home during the holidays so I'm taking the chance to go home. Wang Jung laughed helplessly. They were a little mischievous. This was also forcing the responsibility on him. He thought that Snow Lee and the others would stay at the academy. After all, the Hail Cloud Alliance was their home star. Those type of rise based on first experience would definitely not happen on them. At this moment, more students heading for the Hail Cloud Alliance entered the hall of the spaceship. The announcement for the start of flight also sounded through the PA system. The students that just arrived were also stunned upon seeing the two people, Snow Lee and I Xiaolu. These two were originally elites from the Hail Cloud Alliance. Did they need to return to the Hail Cloud Alliance for trials? Besides, did they not just return for the holidays? After being stunned, they all came forward and exchanged greetings. Snow Lee was still quite famous among the students with Ice Attribute Ability X. Additionally, she was beautiful. She might not have the strongest ability, but she was definitely the most beautiful. Snow Lee nodded her head slightly to acknowledge all the greetings. She directly sat beside Wang Zheng. During this period of time, they have grown very familiar. Snow Lee would also not be shy with Wang Zheng. She originally did not intend to come, but her bestie Ai Xiaolu still strongly suggested that she come. It looked like they became more familiar, but this was not a good sign. There was a possibility to change from lovers to becoming just friends, but if Wang Zheng did not treat her as a girl, and only as a comrade, then the situation was even more desperate. Wang Zheng on the other hand did not feel anything and continued chatting with Snow Lee and Ai Xiaolu. Just right, he had two local bosses with him. Perhaps he could experience the unique scenery of the Hail Cloud Alliance, the country of ice. Except, this type of situation where one guy was sandwiched in between two girls made many guys present very unhappy in their hearts. Just as everyone was guessing about the relationship between Wang Zheng and Snow Lee, there was another commotion in the spaceship. Shin Chronode. Why is he here? As the voices traveled to them, Ai Xiaolu, who was smiling just now, immediately had a face of disgust. This made Wang Zheng curious. It was rare for Ai Xiaolu to act this way. Why, you know him. Just a perverted nouveau rich. He's a pest. Just hearing the name, Ai Xiaolu's mood was totally destroyed. You've never heard of him? In this round of new students, he is one of the fiercest. A whitewashed hellhound from the underworld. He really thinks of himself as a nobility. Snow Lee smiled. Xiaolu's family and his family are opponents. The Chronode family is the biggest loan shark group for the surrounding few planetary systems. Just as Ai Xiaolu wanted to say something, she saw a few people walking over from the cabins. The person walking right in front had a cold aura. His face was angular, with deep-set eyes. His hair was carefully styled. One look and you could tell he was a very attractive man. No doubt, he was the nouveau rich, Shin Chronode, whom Ai Xiaolu was talking about. Wang Zheng touched his chin. Where did he look like a dog? He had quite the air of a noble, at least his looks had quite the style and aura. Shin Chronode's eyes looked over lightly and walked over. He looked straight at Snow Lee and slightly bowed. He used an attractive yet polite voice to say, "Miss Snow, we meet again. Knowing that you are going to take part in the Hail Cloud Alliance trial, I feel that I should take part too. I cannot overlook the appeal of my own planet's trial just because I'm from the Hail Cloud Alliance, am I right?" Ms. Ai Xiaolu. Ai Xiaolu snorted lightly and turned her head away. She ignored the tinge of challenge in Shin Chronode's tone. From Ai Xiaolu's attitude, you could tell that while she was unhappy, it was most likely the other party's family had quite the power. If not, based on Ai Xiaolu's attitude, she would have directly used her shoe and whacked him with it. Snow Lee nodded her head lightly. I'm sorry, I'm having a chat with my friends. An extended hand never hits a smiling face. Snow Lee also could not say anything else. Okay, I'm just extending a greeting. Then I shall not disturb. Shin Chronode smiled and turned. He brought his people to the other end of the cabin. The distance between his steps were accurate, as though they had been measured. Don't be cheated by his appearance. This guy's true face is a cold-blooded animal. He coming together with us is definitely a plot. We must be careful, Ai Xiaolu said. I don't even know how he got into the elite academy. Wang Zheng smiled slightly. It was rare to see Ai Xiaolu so angry. What are you smiling for? Don't you believe me? How could that be? One look and I know that guy is not good. I stand steadfast by Senior Xiaolu. Wang Zheng immediately took a stance. That's better. Ai Xiaolu's nose wrinkled. She was very satisfied with it how fast Wang Zheng replied her. Except everyone was all discussing about Shin Chronode. As long as you were of Ice Elemental Ability X, you would know about the Hail Cloud Alliance. And recently, the Chronode family was a relatively fierce new power of the Hail Cloud Alliance. It was rumored that they had power in both the dark and light sides of society. There were indeed a lot of new individuals in this intake of new Elite Academy students. And for some unknown considerations, there actually was quite an increase in the number of heirs to the various powers of the Milky Way Alliance. Of course, this was not something Wang Zheng and his group could interfere in. If only he was born in the year of the Dancing Ice Dragon. Chronode family. Anyone with a bit of understanding of the Hail Cloud Alliance would know that they are the rule makers of the dark side. Dark. Heh. At this age, where would there be a clear divide between the dark and light? The private ship of the Elite Academy X very quickly passed the approval of the spaceport. It sped up quickly and left the gravitational pull of Roland Garros. A flash later, they entered space warp. The teacher in charge of this round's Hail Cloud Alliance trial walked out from the pilot's cabin only after the spaceship steadied. He was about 1.70 meters and looked easygoing. Everyone, I'm Wei Jicheng, your instructing teacher for this round's Hail Cloud Alliance. The journey is a bit long, now I'll take attendance and at the same time make arrangements for the rooms. There was no luxurious treatment for the private ship of the X-Elite Academy. There were quite a lot of people going to Hail Cloud Alliance this time. An average of 2 people would stay in one dorm. Lei Shu, Tang Pei, room 4. Wang Zheng, Kai Yingmeng, you two are in room 7. Kai Yingmeng was a boy of well-portioned physique. He had a square face. His head looked a bit flat, especially for the forehead. It was a little like a desk surface. It was so flat that it was impressionable. Hi, let's get to know each other, Wang Zheng, from Earth. Wang Zheng took the initiative and moved over. He reached out his hand to make a greeting. Some people from small places were very afraid of letting people know where they were from, but Wang Zheng had never been so. He was always proud to be an Earthling. I know, I have long heard of your big name. Hee, just call me Xiao Kai. Zon Class 4. Kai Yingmeng smiled. He was an enthusiastic person and considered quite senior in the Elite Academy. He was there earlier than Wang Zheng by 2 years. It was not easy for him to rise to Zon Class 4 and Wang Zheng was already in Zon Class 1 in just a semester. It was frustrating to compare people against people. He would not compare but was still a little envious in his heart. If he had abilities like Wang Zheng, his future would be unlimited. If he developed well, perhaps in 10 years' time, the whole Milky Way Alliance would know his name. The two of them got familiar and headed to room 7 together. The data had been entered early on. This room, only the two of them could enter. Entering the room, Kai Yingmeng took one look at Wang Zheng and finally asked the key question. Oh yes, I saw just now that you were chatting with Ai Xiaolu and Snow Li. You guys know each other, how's the relationship like? Okay, I guess. We are all friends. I already knew Snow Li before entering Elite Academy. Wang Zheng laughed. Recalling about IG now, he still missed that period of time. Until now, that experience had already become an unerasable fortune. The previous opponents had all become friends. Of course, enemies were still enemies. Kai Yingmeng nodded. Oh, no wonder, you guys already know each other. I said it, how would Snow Li? Snow Li is very famous in the Hail Cloud Alliance. With her to take the lead, this time's Hail Cloud Alliance trial will be much more convenient. Oh right, I did not mention, this is my 3rd time to the Hail Cloud Alliance. 3rd time. Wang Zheng was also drunk. Under the usual circumstance, to rise using trials at special planets, after the 1st time, the effect of the 2nd time will be much worse. From small to big, on a scale of 1 to 9, the effect of the 1st time would on average be 7 and the 2nd time, it would reduce to 3. For the 3rd time, it was most likely only 1. These were all content that was explained before the trial. There's no other way, my ability is a little special. If I go to other stars for trials, there will be totally no effect at all. While the hope for the third time is a little too uncertain, there is still hope. My goal is to have a breakthrough for my ability to reach at least upper grade C rank, to be able to use Eternal Freeze. How about you? What's your goal for coming to the Hail Cloud Alliance? It's so fortunate to be with geniuses like you guys. Kai Yingmeng, on the other hand, was quite honest. Goal. I had not really thought of that. Wang Zheng laughed. He did not feel that it was terrible for Kai Yingmeng to head to the Hail Cloud Alliance 3 times in a row. On the other hand, he felt that this type of persistence was rare and valuable. As for himself, perhaps he wanted a breakthrough like the one he had for the wind attribute ability on Titatetan Star. He really had not thought of a specific goal. Like Eternal Freeze, that was a special effect of the ice attribute ability. Old Joe had mentioned before and Wang Zheng himself have not achieved that. There was one point that was indeed right. The more elements of ability X1 possessed, although it would look grand and glorious in the early stages but would get more difficult in the later stages. Because to rise ability X to a certain level, it mainly depended on the depth and understanding. With more abilities, one became less focused and specialized. Except, Wang Zheng's ability was there. He liked balance and the cooperative use of various abilities. It was not an option for him to give up on other abilities. Actually, on the path to training, no one knew how the future would be like, but one point had to be achieved, that was to believe in yourself. Upon success, that was persistence. Upon failure, that was stubbornness. After all, the rule in this galaxy was to either be a king or loser. You have to have a goal. The ice attribute ability users are still very popular. I hope to rise this time, and this is also my last chance to be here. Ding dong. The doorbell rang and cut off Kai Yingmeng's topic. The door opened to reveal Snow Li and Ai Xiaolu. We are staying next door, room 6, Ai Xiaolu said lightly. She took one look at Kai Yingmeng and smiled. Hello. Kai Yingmeng's eyes showed excitement. Classmate Ai Xiaolu, classmate Snow Li, hello. It could be seen that Kai Yingmeng was most probably inclined towards the direction of support. Ai Xiaolu and Snow Li represented the Hail Cloud Alliance, the biggest group of ice attribute ability users. Hee, just call me Ai Xiaolu. Ai Xiaolu smiled. Since she had taken part, based on her character, she would of course investigate all the participants. This Kai Yingmeng could be considered an old student of the elite academy. He had taken part in the planetary trials thrice in a row. She was also quite impressed. She looked around and her gaze landed on Wang Zheng. Wang Zheng, how about you? Have you confirmed the venue for this time's trial? The Hail Cloud Alliance has 3 planets. Have you decided which one to go to? There were quite a lot of people taking part in this round's Hail Cloud Alliance trials. There were at least 100 of them. 3 planetary trials, and they could choose freely any as the starting point. Still considering. I'm planning to go to Aisboten. Wang Zheng, do you want to come? That is the most challenging star of the Hail Cloud Alliance. Snow Li plucked up the courage to say. Aisboten was the least famous planet of the Hail Cloud Alliance. Comparatively, its environment was the worst too. Hearing Snow Li speak, Kai Yingmeng's expression became strange. He had traveled to Hail Cloud Alliance many times and knew very clearly about Snow Li's genius status in Hail Cloud Alliance. He also knew that Snow Li had a cold personality, but now, looking at Wang Zheng, this Wang Zheng was definitely a hotly discussed person in the elite academy recently. But a hotly discussed person did not represent fortune. After all, Wang Zheng's background was practically zero. This was not the same concept. Beside, Earth was not some big planet. It was difficult even if they wanted to attach importance to him. Perhaps, Snow Li liked him. Kai Yingmeng shook his head. This idea was too exaggerated. It was definitely not possible. But, if you wanted to say that there was not some special relationship, even if he was beaten to death, he would not believe so. If that was true, then he dared to live stream the chopping off of his nails. They were all youngsters. Very quickly they familiarized with each other. Kai Yingmeng was a hardcore fan of the Hail Cloud Alliance. This was already not purely for rising his own ability X through trials, but a type of passion. Kai Yingmeng, is your girlfriend someone from our side? Ai Xiaolu took one look at Kai Yingmeng. After getting to know him, She realized that he was different from the intelligence she had gathered in the previous investigations. The version in her hands described Kai Yingmeng as an obnoxious troublemaker who always created trouble for the emergency response team. But now, it did not seem that way. He was quite an easygoing person. Kai Yingmeng smiled. He blushed, but his gaze became much softer. Hee hee, she's a kind Hail Cloud girl. I got to know her from previous trials. For real. When there's a chance, introduce to us so we can get to know each other. Great, sure. Kai Yingmeng nodded his head confidently. He thought that this was also a chance for his girlfriend to be friends with Ai Xiaolu, the heir of the Ai family. This way, her paths in the Hail Cloud Alliance would be much wider. This was just a brief interlude. Everyone's topic were still mostly concentrated on the trial venue of the Hail Cloud Alliance. Aisboden Star, Niwaya Star, and Rome's Star. The three big planets were all not the main planet of the Hail Cloud Alliance. While there were residents on these stars, but they were concentrated in the city living areas. The development of the planets all did not exceed 30% of its surface area. The three planets, Aisboden's trial is the most difficult and dangerous. Its development only reached 5%, but the chance of getting a rise there is higher. Niwaya Star's development is 15%, of medium difficulty, and Rome's Star's development had already reached 25%, considered to be easier. For Wang Zheng, I will also suggest to go to Aisboden. It is also my goal for this time. The first 2 times I also went there. One can find eternal frozen nests. Kai Yingmeng's introduction was even more detailed than Ai Xiaolu. Ding dong. Very quickly, another visitor appeared. Wang Zheng was still quite famous in the Elite Academy X. Just 1 semester and he rose to Zon grades class 1. Everyone was willing to be friends with such a person. At least, it was never bad to take the initiative to get to know someone from the Zon class 1. However, he did not expect that the person to open the door and receive the new guest was actually Ai Xiaolu. And Snow Li was sitting on the bed. While he had seen them standing with Wang Zheng before, but this scene. Luckily, there was still a Kai Yingmeng standing at one side. If not, everyone would really become crazy. They were all youngsters. While it was less enjoyable than the luxurious spaceship, but time could pass quickly with discussion and chatting. Wang Zheng also learned a lot. No matter whether useful or not, other people's experience could ultimately reduce the length of the wrong paths that he would have to take. More than 10 people squeezed into the room and chatted. They were very enthusiastic. All ICE attribute ability users knew the importance of having good relations with the I family. Once they left college, the relationships during college became extremely important. No one was willing to give up such a good chance. Wang Zheng was also enjoying the chat. Every student was sharing about the special characteristics of their hometown. Wang Zheng was no exception. As for what his trial goal was, Wang Zheng was different from the others. He had heard the ideas of others, but those were definitely not his goal. There was one point of similarity, that Wang Zheng valued this trial very much. A group of youngsters gathered together. When Wang Zheng, Snow Li and Ai Xiaolu were all very easygoing, everyone very quickly familiarized with each other. Compared to the crowd at Wang Zheng's side, Xin Chronod's room seemed to be much stricter. Many students came over to say hello, or rather, to pay respect. Xin Chronod's 2 lackeys stood at the door, one at the left, the other on the right. On the corridor, there were 20 people queuing, waiting to enter and speak to Xin Chronod. While Xin Chronod only entered the Elite Academy X this year, but everyone knew that in the past it was not that he could not enter. It was just that he did not bother. His family's inheritance was too good. When he had yet to digest the exquisite jade and gourmet food in his mouth, there was no need to think of the watery porridge in the big pot. It was unclear what had happened this year, but many young, famous, talented, powerful people like Xin Chronod all entered the Elite Academy. These people's arrival also broke the peaceful balance in the Elite Academy X. In the room, Reddington was chatting happily with Xin Chronod. But it was obvious that he had the intention of getting his good graces. That's the basic situation in the school. That's about it. Xin Chronod played with a piece of jade in his hands. He looked lightly at the Reddington who was here to express his loyalty. Li Zhilong's death is quite interesting. I originally wanted to meet this powerful person from Manalasuo. Looks like he just has a name. Your intelligence on Snowly is very useful. I'll remember it. You are being polite. If there's anything else that you need, feel free to just ask. Reddington said. Very well, excuse yourself and let the next one in. Sheen Chronod's manner of speaking implied that his visit was a type of reporting, but to the powerful people outside, none of them felt uncomfortable. He had this ability and had the power, even more so, he had the aura. Reddington exited the room and heaved a long sigh. He had no other way. While bowing to another person like this seemed cowardly, he had already burned bridges with Ai Xiaolu. He was near to graduation and had to plan for his future. He did not want to rise from a small position again. If he had the care of the Chronode family, in addition to his ability, then it was totally a different matter. He knew that Sheen was interested in Snowly and could not care about his manly pride. He quickly expressed his bone-deep hatred for Ai Xiaolu and Snowly. Comparing ability and looks, where was he worse off? If he had a background like Ai Xiaolu, who else could rival him? Reddington thought that he was enduring humiliation for an important mission, suffering patiently with strong resolve for revenge. One day, he would let everyone understand that only he was truly the pride of the Hail Cloud Alliance. Of course, this needed time, a very long time. Sheen Chronode spent quite some time. Basically, he received all the information that he wanted. Reddington, this person was really usable. Ability-wise, he was considered a top-notch powerful person. His family situation was not bad and he was ambitious. That was good. It made him easier to use. Of course, because of his ambitions, this guy could only be used. Snowly liked Wang Zheng. Sheen thought that this was unexpected. Was it because Wang Zheng had performed well? That would be a little too comedic. While girls of the Hail Cloud Alliance would not judge a person by his looks, but they would not only look at a person's battle power to determine their own loves. While others could only see Snowly's beauty, people like Sheen were different. People of the Hail Cloud Alliance all knew that a girl born of the year of the Dancing Ice Dragon would bring fortune. This was a type of luck and had a very strong attraction for strong men. He wanted to possess her. This type of women to kneel before him, and be as gentle as a little kitten. That was the best decoration. Of course, Ai Xiaolu was also a target. In the past he looked down very much on political tools like the Elite Academy, but now he thought about it, it was quite fun. Time passed day by day. A long travel shortened because of the interactions and befriending new friends. When the announcement sounded in the PA system that the spaceship had landed on the Hail Cloud Alliance, people from Wang Zheng's social group did not want to leave this type of discussion environment. The trial had not started, but the discussions they had during this period of time had benefited them a lot. Especially with some pointers and corrections from Ai Xiaolu and Snowly. Even though they were also students, but they came from the Hail Cloud Alliance. Hence they indeed had a deeper understanding in the area of ice attribute. Ability was just one aspect, their knowledge was even more comprehensive. Exiting the starport, the whole world was just ice and snow, a grand icy world. Everyone stood quietly by the streets and felt the ever-present aura of ice in the air. White skies, thick clouds blocked the heat from the star. On the snow-white street, there were no sights of the types of vehicles often seen on other planets. There were snow vehicles of mixed motors. Even more were the maglev trams with only 2 carriages. This was really a unique characteristic of the Hail Cloud Alliance. This type of cars were divided into 2 kinds. One was the red bullet that traveled at high speeds on the highway and the other was the blue square which traveled on the ground with limited speed. Alright, let's gather here. At this moment, the instructor in front, Wei Jicheng, who was leading the way, raised his hands. Everyone gathered at the designated reception point. Everyone received a special bracelet to wear. The ice-cool material made it look like ice, but it was not. The function inside was mainly to monitor the body's vitals. The other was some survival functions under the ice and snow environment, temperature and humidity monitors, compass, etc. These few days, I believe that everyone has understood the things to know about the trial. 3 planets, choose one for your trial. Now you can enter your choice into the bracelet. You will be divided into groups based on the planet you choose. Wei Jicheng's expression was very serious and very cold. Instantly, this made everyone freeze from the joy they had before immersed in a snowy world. Anyway, ice attribute ability X users were not good at expressing emotions. Wang Jung chose the most difficult Aesboden star in his bracelet. Over 100 people, very quickly, according to their final destinations, were split into 3 groups. Of which, the largest was the group heading to Aesboden star, with 41 people. Everyone's goals were very clear. They were here to improve. Besides, these type of trials would have a reduced effect upon experiencing it more than once. Of course, at the start, they would plan to choose the most difficult trial. Of course, ultimately, the star still needed to be chosen according the difficulty level suited to the individual's ability. This was also why only those with Zon grade ability could have such trials. There was no time to rest and they left the gathering point quickly. There were small spaceships to send everyone to their respective destinations, the 3 stars reception point. On the spaceship, the ambience was as cold as the air in Hail Cloud Alliance. Most people were quietly checking the various content loaded into their bracelet. The Iceboden star, which was less than 5% developed, only had 2 cities, the Ice Spear City and Tanker City. The population size was 160,000 and the main source of economy was mining.
Wang Jung's speed of reading was very fast. In about half an hour, he had already read through the contents in the bracelet. Raising his head, he sensed a gaze. Turning his head, he saw Reddington, who was sitting diagonally behind him. He was also considered an old familiar person. Wang Jung gave him a friendly smile. Reddington's face twisted a little and then he turned his head away. He pretended to look outside the window. In his heart, 100,000 horses raced through. Wang Jung, you can smile for now. Sheen Chronode's purpose in coming to the Elite Academy X, there was one that could not be any clearer, which was to turn Snow Lee into his woman. In this process, Wang Jung would definitely become one of the small obstacles that Sheen Chronode would have to rid of. Women were that shameless. Initially he was sincere towards Snow Lee, but she did not know how to cherish him. When Chronode got his way, she would definitely suffer. Reddington had heard that this guy would use drugs and various torture tools to play with the person until they were severely injured. On the surface, he was a gentleman, but actually he was definitely a pervert. At this moment, Reddington's heart was filled with a type of twisted need for revenge. It seemed like this was the only way to prove his pride. Entering the space route for 4 hours, the spaceship reached Ibotan star. There was no spaceport in the outer space. Entering the atmosphere, the ship captain's voice sounded through the PA. Everyone please take note. The Aurora frontliner will be entering the turbulent atmosphere. Please adjust your seats and tighten your seatbelts. Over. Hong, you could feel the strong turbulence between the spaceship and the atmosphere. However, it was not as serious as imagined. The ship captain's voice sounded through the PA again after the spaceship steadied. We have arrived at the destination Ice Spear City. Landing in 5 minutes' time. Please make the preparations to exit the ship. At exactly 5 minutes, the spaceship landed directly on the ground. This was a purely industrial city. Or rather, a small street. There were totally no structures that a city should have. But this was also natural. There were only 7,000 people in this city. It could not get any bigger. The architectural style was totally different from those that were seen on the Hail Cloud Alliance origin planet. One after another square factories, joined into a very neat hex-shaped street. It looked so neat and tidy. This was a typical underdeveloped planet. They only had resources, but they were definitely very important. Any federation who could become one of the current top countries in the Milky Way would definitely control huge amounts of mines. Resources and technology would always be a key area of competition during the interstellar Great Voyage era. Everyone quickly alighted from the spaceship. There was soft snow floating down from the sky. You could see that the instant the snow landed on the ground, it instantly melted and flowed towards the drain along the road. The temperature of the ground, under this type of climate, actually still preserved its warmth. It's because of geothermal heating. Snow Lee smiled and explained to Wang Jung. A special characteristic of the Hail Cloud Alliance. Actually, it is still very primitive here. At this moment, there were footsteps. Upon turning their heads, in the snow-white world, you could see 5 officers arriving. Their expression were colder than snow. Everyone present, gather, number off, Immediately, everyone turned to attention. There were absolutely no explanations except military orders. Shouting their slogan, they passed through one street after another. On the way, they saw many pedestrians. Even they were all rushing about, all in the midst of working. Taking a few looks at Wang Jung and the others, they smiled and shouted to the 5 officers, "New people again?" The 5 officers just waved their hands and continued to lead the group. Very quickly, they reached the army camp. This army camp's structure and facilities were meant for an army troop. But other than one troop of foot soldiers at the door, there were no other soldiers to be seen. The whole city was managed in a semi-military style. Attention, at rest. Little bugs, welcome to Ice River Base 1. Here, it will be the start of your nightmare. I'm Hog, the creator of nightmares for all you little insects. Here, I will teach you tropical bugs how to get used to the ice and snow. No one cared about him. Hog's eye twitched. Very well, now you have 30 minutes to tidy your belongings and familiarize yourself with the army camp. 30 minutes later, gather at the field, understood? Wang Jung replied yes loudly. However, the unexpected part was that he was the only one to reply. Then 40+ pairs of eyes stared at him. Sheen Chronode snorted derisively. Earth. He heard that the soldiers there were all trained through traditional military training until they became fools. This little fool in front of his eyes, what did he have to order him around? Anyone here would have better accomplishments in the future than him. Wang Jung's facial expression did not change. He did not feel awkward. No matter what, he felt that enough respect should be given to the other party. A hint of appreciation flashed through Hog's eyes. Actually, Hog himself knew. He conveyed the order just now without much confidence. The army camp's dorms were the type with the worst environment. Double-decker beds, one room filled full with 12 people. Other than the beds, there was practically no private space. Wang Jung laughed and randomly picked a bottom bunk bed and started to tidy up. Kai Yingmeng climbed onto the upper bed and stopped moving after lying down. Then he said, "Fellow comrades, now is the best time to replenish your energy. They will definitely deal with us later. There are many ways for them to handle us." Wang Jung laughed. The room was not as cold as imagined. It was very suitable for living because of the effect of ground heating. There was no television, but there was still signal for the Skylink internet. Even though there was slight disruption, the internal communication bracelet's reception still worked. Everyone was busy, chit-chatting happily. They did not take this too seriously. 30 minutes later, everyone gathered at the field. They did not see Hog, but the other 4 military instructors were there. Very well, no one is late. I'm your military instructor, Newton. Mecha military instructor, Franklin. Wildlife survival military instructor, Kagong. Life military instructor, Lu Wen. After the 4 military instructors did a simple self-introduction, they started to organize missions. From now on, you are all recruits. Obeying orders are your only choice. Here, other than completing missions, you have no power. We will assess you based on your performance and enter them into the Elite Academy X-Files. Now, the first mission is to remove your warmth-preserving coat and run 30 kilometers. The whole group looked lightly at him. Sheen Chronode laughed coldly. Just this? Fire lit up in the eyes of the 4 military instructors, but in the end they did not respond to Sheen Chronode's obvious challenge. Now, set off. Hong Long Long, one group of people rushed out of the army camp. Seeing the silhouettes disappear into the distance, the 4 military instructors exchanged looks. Newton shook his head. I don't think we can suppress this group. Lu Wen laughed bitterly. Forget it. You say that every time. To be able to come here for trials, which one of them is easy to handle? In the past, who was suppressed? This time there is one more Sheen Chronode. We just have to do our jobs. The military instructors were all helpless. They could not offend people of the Chronode family. If not, they would not even know how they died. This family itself dealt in those unspeakable matters. Of course, they had to control the extent of training. The training intensity still would not change. Hog was not there because he was preparing for the trial tomorrow. Today's 30 kilometers was just to let this bunch of proud people taste a little bitterness. At the same time, allow them to get used to the ice and snow environment quicker. Of course, this was also just barely suppressing them. This was a rule in the military. It was a must-to-have actions to suppress those who just arrived. Without reducing a bit of that pride, how could they gain from the trials ahead? These few military instructors were also trying their best to help. Snow Li and Ai Xiaolu were beside Wang Zheng. They ran at a comfortable pace, not too fast, not too slow. Straight long legs, they were very outstanding in the crowd. The steps of these two were too relaxed. Under this type of environment, to the native-born Hail Cloud citizens, they were long used to it. How do you feel, Mr. Leader? Ai Xiaolu teased. Compared to the chatterbox Ai Xiaolu, Snow Li preferred observing Wang Zheng. Wang Zheng seemed to enjoy it very much. All these seemed beautiful. To be honest, Wang Zheng really liked it very much. If Ai Xiaolu was quieter, it would be better. The power of ice and snow filled the gap between the sky and ground. There was a perspective of physics and there was an internal vitality. This feeling was very similar to that on Titan. No wonder the Hail Cloud Alliance was so strong. Any star filled with vitality would have treasures. Except compared to the freezing cold, Tita's star was more suited for living. Seeing that Wang Zheng ignored her, Ai Xiaolu stomped her feet in anger. Snow Li smiled sweetly. Wang Zheng's type of character was what she liked. One step, it's deep, another step, it's shallow. In some of the places, the snow was so deep it could bury a person. For ice attributability X users, these obstacles were all small problems. However, they were not wearing warmth-preserving coats. How to maintain their body temperature in the wind and snow was a test. Besides, this was not 1,000 meters or 5,000 meters. It was 30 kilometers. How they could distribute their usage of body strength and ability X, that was also a test.